Hey everybody, welcome to Example of Play. This video is going to be my beginner's guide for No Rest for the Wicked. I saw that there are a lot of guides out there already for this game, but most are from April of last year when the game first came out. And I'm jumping in playing here with the Together update, which just came out and adds co-op to the game, which is really awesome. I highly recommend playing that way if you've got some friends interested in the game too. But the target for this video is just going to be new players, and we're going to work through creating a new character, starting the game, going through the prologue area, which is basically a large first area where we'll go over all the basic mechanics and then get past the first boss and into the town. And then in town we'll go over how to do like crafting and upgrades and stuff, and then kind of next steps of what you can do after that. So we're going to run through quite a bit, not getting super in-depth on any one thing, but covering all the basics of the game to help you get started. So let's go ahead and go. Alright, so we'll start by making a new character and realm, so you see what that looks like. This character I've played a few hours with, but we'll make a brand new one for this video. So there's character customization. You're zoomed out and wearing gear most of the time, so it doesn't matter too much what they look like, so we'll skip over customizing it, but feel free to click customize to do a little more detail if you want. There is hardcore mode where you only have one life. I'm not going to play that because I will probably die quite a few times. So we'll create our character. Now we pick a realm we want to go to. So in this game, a realm is basically like an instance of the game, and so you can progress through your realm. You can make a shared realm. You can create a private realm and then share it later if you want. This is the big cool co-op feature of the game, is that you can have up to 4 people sharing a realm, and it's like a private server that's free. And so you can drop in and out at any time. You can share resources, you share story progression, you can do quests together. It's really cool, really fun that is a free part of the game. But we're going to make our own realm for this run to start over. So you just name it whatever. And then I'm going to say Path of the Chosen is the kind of default difficulty. There is a harder difficulty if you want to jump into that. So we'll create it. And then we'll say, okay, we are going to jump into that one. And then you can share it, you can leave it. If you're the last player to leave it, then it gets deleted and it's gone. The prologue, I would recommend if you're a new player, play through that. It's like a tutorial section on a ship before the main part of the game starts. That'll walk you through a bunch of the basic controls and everything, which I'll mention all of it, but I'll let you play through that. We're going to jump straight to main story where we start on the beach. So I'm going to click that, and we will get started. Alright, so you start the game here on a beach, washed up after a shipwreck. Kind of a classic video game start. I highly recommend playing with the controller. It feels much better and smoother, but you can play mouse and keyboard. So if you see the mouse up, it's just so I can kind of show you things on the screen. But first off, we'll look at just what we got here. So we have our character up there. This 050 bar is the XP we need to level up. Red bar is your health, and then this other little bar is your focus, which is kind of like your mana for doing special attacks, which we'll get to eventually. And then down here, you'll have several things here. You don't start with a weapon, so this is a game where you start as a blank slate. You have default stats, there's no class or anything, and you don't have any weapons or anything other than the rags you're wearing at the beginning. And then you do have some food here, and that's how you heal. So there's a little bit of health regeneration in the game, but primarily you're going to eat food and things to heal your character, which we'll get to eventually how to get more of those. And then you also have like usable consumable items that you can have equipped here, and we'll see those as we get them, and those can be really helpful too. But I'll switch to controller now, you'll see the buttons down there change to run around. So you can run, you can hit, depending on what your controller is, you'll see in the bottom left what buttons to do everything. You can do kind of basic punches, and you can hold down to do a charged up punch. But whenever you start attacking, you'll see that little green circle appears. So that's your stamina. So this is a game where you have stamina, and it will run out as you continuously attack. If you run all the way out, then you can't do anything. And so you want to avoid that. Kind of always be managing your stamina a little bit so it doesn't completely run out. You can also tap the run button to dodge, which is very useful. And then I think, yeah, that's most of the basic controls. There's no jump button, but there are places you can kind of automatically jump when you go off edges. All right, so now we got basic controls. Let's go exploring a little bit. As we walk up the beach, we'll find our first item we can pick up here. This horseshoe crab. So hit the button, pick up that. It says ingredients. As you run around, there's all kinds of resources you'll find. So like food things, you'll find herbs, you'll find loot, of course, and then you also find things like ore that you can mine, trees you can chop down. We'll see all those as we go. We can do our first combat. This crab's pretty easy to fight even without a weapon. You just punch it, kill it in a couple hits. It drops some more crab. Here there's a pile of dirt. It says needs shovel. So there's several different items for harvesting those resources. So you need like a shovel, a pickaxe, an axe for cutting down trees, that kind of thing. So you'll find those as you go, and then you'll be able to collect that. We'll go up here and talk to this guy, the captain, and he's basically going to say, yep, bad out there. And he tells us about Sacrament, which is the town up the road here. And that's our first quest, is to reach the town. And that's kind of the hub of the game where there's all the shops and vendors and crafting and stuff. And then it branches off to the other higher level areas of the game. But here at the beginning, we're on the beach and we got to get up there. But it's not quite so simple because there's a lot of enemies between here and there, including a boss. So I'll run over here. This is an important one to pick up. So these herbs, when you see this, they kind of, once you kind of get an eye for them, they're easy to spot, but don't overlook these because you need those herbs to make a lot of the early food recipes. So like the healing items that are much more powerful than just, you can eat like the mushrooms you find, but they don't heal you very much. But you can make it into soup with those herbs and it makes it much better. Now we'll talk a little bit about exploring the world and kind of how to think about it. This game is like a Dark Souls game where the world is very interconnected. When you first run through an area, it might seem pretty simple, but then you'll come back around later and you'll realize that, oh, there was like a tower you could climb up or a bridge you could cross or an underground area there that you didn't see at first. And you can connect, there's like paths that connect the areas, there's ladders you can drop that make it easier to get around. So if you ever played like Dark Souls, it's very much like that, where the game rewards exploring and looking around. So we'll explore along the beach a little more here. And we're still kind of on the hunt to find maybe a weapon or other gear to help us stay alive. These crabs are not too hard to fight, but there are tougher enemies not too far ahead. There's this thing right here. This is like a first kind of area you can go underground, but you need a torch to go down there. It's too dark to see anything, so we won't go down there just yet. Oh, good. So I found a woodcutter's axe. So if you open up your inventory, you'll see, well, oh yeah. So make sure there's different tabs up here. So there's like food resources, consumables, other resources, quest items. But this first tab is for gear you can equip. So we can equip this woodcutter's axe. It goes down there. It's not for fighting with, it's just for cutting down trees. But now if we find another tree, we'll be able to cut it down. There we found some pants. So we'll equip those. Now when you look at something to equip it, you can see kind of the brief version here. So this is its armor rating. This is telling you how much it's increasing from what you've got right now. It's got other stats and things here. These gem slots, we'll get to that later on of how to customize gear and upgrade it, but you can find gems that you can slot in here to give upgrades, or you can enchant an item, which will take up 3 of these 4 slots with other types of upgrades. And then down here, the requirements, so this just requires level 1, easy, but as we go, we'll find things that have other requirements. And then this is how much it weighs and how much it's going to increase our basically equipped weight, which we'll look at later as well. But it's definitely going to be worth it to equip some weight so that we can have way more armor than the rags we're wearing right now. Down here is where you can see basically kind of like in Dark Souls, the more heavier stuff you have on, the slower your character moves. So it goes from like fast to moderate to heavy. And when you're at heavy, like you move slower, your rolls are slower, all that kind of thing. Where at fast, you're very nimble. But of course, heavier armor is going to weigh more. But there is a way to increase your amount that you can equip and keep nimble on your feet. But we will select this to equip it, and now we're wearing some slightly better pants. And the game doesn't give you too much direction on where to go. There was a road, of course, back there, but Being good RPG players, we know you want to go off the beaten path and look around to find things like, oh, here's a treasure chest. All right, so those are, okay, so the Fallen Ember is a resource for later, but the other thing was a scrap bomb, which so now we see down here, that pops up as a consumable. So you'll find all kinds of things you can throw at enemies. Like there's also things that can, heal you or boost your mana or your stamina. But also you can find stuff you can throw at bad guys, so that's nice. You can see there's another treasure chest up there, but we can't quite get to it. We'll cut down this tree, just as an example. So and there's kind of like a mini game to this where you want to hit at the right time, cut the tree down faster, and get more resources. So you want to do that. That thing's like perfectly balanced and didn't fall over. And then another classic, here's the tip. Check behind this waterfall for a big treasure chest. I saw that waterfall and I thought there better be something back there, and there was. Big treasure chest, lots of treasure. So we get some money, we get the freezing quiver. So if we find a bow, you can equip these quivers, which will add like different elemental things to your arrows. We find a nice helmet, and then some oils, so we can use these to give us like bonus damage for a limited amount of time. So that's another consumable item. So that's pretty nice. We'll equip that as well. All right, so now I have like a cool helmet. Looks like it's already got blood on it, but that's okay. All right, so now I'm gonna explore around on the beach a little bit more and see if I can find some gear, and then we'll jump back to it when we're ready to push up into the town and fight some harder enemies. All right, so here's the location of another big treasure chest. From the waterfall, if you just go up the screen and kind of follow the river all the way up past, there's like a sewer thing that's green, don't go in there. Keep going till you get back into here and you find this open grate. I'll show you on the map. If you open up your map, like the waterfall is right here, and then I just went up. Don't go in there just yet. You could, but for now, stay on the beach. And then if you come up to here, here's a little hidden space, which, like I said, the game is full of these. They're everywhere, where there's a bunch of herbs for making more healing items later, and a big treasure chest, which hopefully will have a weapon in it, maybe. Nope, still no weapon. We did get a shield, though. I guess we might as well equip that. Okay, I'll let you know whenever if I find some more nice loot spots. All right, so I did finally find weapons. So back here where you found the dead captain right at the beginning, I headed up here. And then this body, I don't know if in your game it will necessarily spawn there every time, but hopefully they'll be nice and give you one. There's loot here on several of these bodies, and I found a sword. Now we do have a proper weapon. Also picked up some more items that aren't necessarily better than what I had. Oh, there's some gloves, so equip those. And then I found a nice sword here, a wakizashi. I'm gonna equip that. And now we have sword and a shield, so we can go over a little bit more combat here. When you have a shield equipped, you can hold down, for me it's L1 to hold your shield up to block, so you can have it up to block attacks, but of course that'll like eat into your stamina as you do that. Or you can do L2 parry, and you can do that if you don't have a shield as well. If you have any weapon equipped, you can parry, which we'll see is very useful. Mastering that can let you take down some tough enemies much more easily. While we're over here, there's also some other very useful things to know. So you'll see a campfire up here, and you can interact with this to make some of those meals we talked about. Right now you only have one recipe, mushroom soup, but you'll learn more later on. But the mushroom soup is great for starting because you find the mushrooms and the Artemisia herbs everywhere. Just always pick those up when you see them, because then you can come here, you can craft, you can bump that up on the D-pad to get the maximum amount. And then you cook them up pretty quick. And now you'll see down here, you can cook multiple different things, but you'll see down here, now we have 13 of those. So that adds to your stack. So now we have plenty of healing items for going into combat. And then over here, if you come to this tower, you'll find your first Whisper, which these are kind of like checkpoints. So you'll want to interact with it to activate it. And then it's going to be a place where you can come here to fast travel, and also if you die, you'll go back to the last one that you had like activated. So it's important whenever you see those, make sure you activate them to add them to your list of places you can quickly get to. And then this tower, as a great example, you can actually climb up this tower, and then that leads off to an area. And then you can go back down, and if you check this right here, you can actually open this up, and you can go down below, and there's an area down there too. So like, see, this game very vertical in its exploration of like there's stuff all over the place. But we can see we come down here, and this is a level 15 area, so it's warning us like, hey, maybe you shouldn't be here just yet. Even that rat took a couple hits to take it down. There's another campfire there. We'll just poke our nose down in here and see that, oh yeah, there's some enemies with skulls over their heads, so we shouldn't be here just yet. So we'll run away from that. So this is an area if you want a little more challenge or to come back to later. All right, so back on the surface, we're ready to head into the next proper, like the first proper area, and make our way to Sacrament. But before we do that, one thing you should turn on, if you go into the settings, one thing that'll make the game a little easier to understand is turn on enemy Poise Bars. So we'll turn that on. It'll let me, there we go. And that will show, so Poise, it's kind of like another like Dark Souls feature. Enemies, you can break them, their poise, and it'll like stun them so they'll fall down so they're easier to attack. You can parry them to do it really easily or hit them with certain types of attacks. But knowing when that's about to happen can be really useful in the flow of combat. So I highly recommend turning that on. And then you can head up here, which it does a little nice cinematic camera angle, and head into the next area. Oh, and then we got an enemy right there, the Mariner's Keep, I think it's called. We'll see that we auto target this guy. And then you can flick your right stick to switch targets. We can see he's trying to attack us. He's got like, these guys will do multiple attacks. And so just like Dark Souls, you can do the thing of just dodging all the time and they can't even hit you. But if you just go in there wailing, they'll wail back at you, and you can die even to these early enemies. All right, so enough playing with this guy. We'll go ahead and attack him a little. And you see with the Poise Bar on now, we have that little white bar below his health, so that we know if he's close to breaking, which on these guys, not too worried about that, but there are tougher enemies later where it's useful to be able to see that and see how close you are to breaking them. All right, so now let's go try the blocking and parrying and see how that looks. Hoping I can find another enemy alone. That'll be a little easier. Okay, so here's a guy. There's a way to backstab enemies, but we're just gonna fight him like normal. All right, so if we hold up and block, we'll see what that looks like. You can see you block the damage and you kind of stun them a little bit. It gives you an opening, but be wary that the same thing can happen to you. If you hit an enemy who has their shield up, it can kind of stun you for a second too. And you see also his Poise Bar is getting bigger. If we can fill that up, then he'll be stunned where we can really get him. But let's try to parry. So parrying, you have to do it just as they attack, and then that'll happen and they'll be totally stunned. Easy to kill right there. Oh, and we leveled up, very nice. But it is tricky because the parry, if you do it too soon, too late, it doesn't do anything. But if you get it just right, then it stuns them, makes them easy to kill, versus just holding up a shield, which is pretty useful. But of course you can't, if you don't have a shield, then you can't do that. All right, so we leveled up there, so let's talk about that next. So when you level up, you go here, go stats, and we'll see that we have a lot of different stats. They all start at 10. And like I said, there's no classes in this game. There's just what your stats are and what weapons and gear you have equipped. I'll get the mouse out here so we can see. Up here you have like all your general stats, resistances, all that kind of stuff that'll go up as you equip different gear. And you can see here what weapons and stuff you have and how your attributes are affecting them. And so we'll see how that changes. And then up here, now we're at heavy because we've equipped some more gear. So now we can see we're in the heavy class, so we're moving a little slower in combat. Now there's a lot of different stats. When you level up, you get 3 attribute points. And as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different stats to spread them again. through. So of course you can't level up everything all the time. But there are some stats you want to level up for sure. So health, that's a big one. That's gonna obviously give you more hit points. So even though it's a little bit at a time and it doesn't let you hit harder, it lets you stay alive a little longer. So highly recommend some points in health, especially in your early levels, to give you a little more buffer so you're not just dying to everything in 1 or 2 hits. Stamina is going to do what you think, increases your stamina points. So that's the little green circle when you're fighting. The more stamina points you have, the more times you can swing and roll and all of that without getting exhausted. So some points in stamina also highly encouraged. And then we'll skip these, we'll go down here to the bottom. These are the unique ones. So focus is your kind of like your mana. So it's how much you gain, how many focus points you can have. So the more points you have in that, the bigger your pool is and the faster you gain them, which we haven't, I'll show you how to use a focus ability here in a second. But basically those are like your spells and special powers use focus. And then your other thing you can increase down here is equip load. So this will change this. So if we increase it, it'll go up 10 points and we'll see our percentage goes down a little bit. So that's one of those where it doesn't help you directly, just putting like 1 point into it. Right now it doesn't really change anything because we're still heavy, but you put enough points into it, you could get down to where you're wearing heavier stuff, but not totally overburdened. And that's kind of a thing. It depends on your style. Are you like a dodger versus a tank kind of thing but you'll probably want some points in that just so you can equip a little bit more stuff without being overloaded. Now the other stats here in the middle, the strength, dexterity, intelligence, and faith, these all affect your weapon bonuses. So like this Coiled Dawn, the sword I found, it has 14 base damage, and then it's increased by both intelligence and dexterity. So if we put a point in there, we should get a bonus, which right now I guess it's not just yet. Oh, there it goes. So we needed to put 2 points into it to get a bonus there. So now it's increasing our base damage with that just from having our attributes higher. Let's see if we put a point in intelligence. That increases it another point. So basically, depending on the weapon, the more points you have for its relevant stats, the higher it's going to go. Some weapons are multiple, or some weapons have 2 stats, some weapons just have 1 stat. And it's just going to depend on your playstyle, how many points you want to put into these. Because obviously you don't have enough points that you can just spread them between all of those evenly. You might need some points in all of them to equip certain things, or to equip kind of the gear set you want. But if you're going to be like fighting with a bow, obviously you're going to want dexterity. If you're going to be fighting with like big weapons, you're going to want strength. And as you find weapons, you'll see what their requirements are. So like if we look here at that sword, we can see its requirements are 10 and 10, which you start with that, but this is kind of just letting you know, hey, those are the stats for this type of weapon. So a higher level Wakizashi, however you say it, it's going to have higher requirements there. We can see the shield requires 10 strength, which you start with, but higher level versions, this type of shield could require more strength. And I haven't found anything else that's higher level just yet, but as you go, you'll find stuff you can't equip just yet, and you'll see, okay, those are the stats I need to increase to be able to equip them. And so, like I said, you kind of need to focus in on what build am I going to go with. However, with that said, you can respec later. You can't at the beginning, but eventually once you progress far enough with the main story and get into town, there's a way you can respec and reset these stats. So you're not locked in forever, but you are locked in for a little while. But for the early game, I would definitely recommend some health, stamina, and either focus or equip load depending on what you're going to do. And then maybe if you find some really cool thing you want, you can start increasing those stats to be able to equip that. One tip I saw somewhere was by level 11 to try to have 21 points in whichever of these that you plan to use. So that's kind of maybe a little target to shoot for. But we'll just put it in. I'm gonna put it in equip load because I like to try to get this down. For me, my playstyle, I like to be at least kind of in the moderate, but while still wearing some heavier stuff. And I don't really know what weapon I want to go with yet, so I'm not going to put any points in there. And then you do have to commit to it before those go up. All right, so now I'm going to show you another little tip is on your map using markers. So if you open your map, as you explore around, you'll see some markers pop up automatically. So like this yellow thing is the Whisper that we found. It'll show you where you find like dungeons. So like back there's that ladder down to the brine vault. There's the campfire that we came across. There's a rip marker because I did die once. I was messing around. There's another Whisper here. So this one's yellow because that's the one that we've like activated as our spawn point. If we die, there was another dungeon I came across. But right here, I came up here and I found this door, which I can't open yet. It says I need the western bridge key to open this door. Now, I don't know where that is. I don't have it yet, but I know I want to come back and see what's in there if I find that key. The one thing you can do, that door doesn't show up on the map. There's no marker, but you can place a marker. So it's A for me. And you can place a marker, and there's several options here. But like if you find a place where like a big treasure chest is, like that one under the waterfall, you could mark it, and it'll respawn eventually as time goes by. So you can mark places where there's like good loot like that, or I'll put a question mark there to say, okay, there's a door there. We don't know we gotta find a key to go into it, just to remind me that there's something here I still wanted to explore. Now, I recommend you play and explore this first area on your own. I don't want to walk through all of it because it is pretty expansive. Like it goes on and on. And you can knock people off edges and you get the XP for killing them that way. But yeah, explore this first area. I'm not going to go through all of it because that would take too long. And part of the fun of the game is just finding stuff. But be aware, yeah, check every nook and cranny because there is hidden stuff all over the place. Pickaxe, didn't have one of those yet, so that's nice. But yeah, try to go up, try to go down. Anytime you see like a treasure chest somewhere, there is a way to get to it. It might not be obvious or direct, but you can get there eventually. And then I'll jump ahead here when I progress a little bit further. Oh yeah, and then I did also mean to show you how to use your focus. So when you start the game, you look at our character over here. Oh, do the mouse. You do have one rune, so that's like how you cast spells. These are your utility runes, which are kind of like spells you can cast whenever. And you start with this first one, which is healing, which is handy to have. It costs 50 focus, and you can heal yourself a little as an alternative to using food. And then when you get to town, you can get more that you can put in here, and then you can unlock more as you go. You can also equip runes to weapons to do special attacks, which we'll see as we go. But I'll show you how to do that. So in the bottom left, down here, when I have the controller on, it shows you what you need to hold down. So either L1 or R1 or right trigger. So right trigger lets you get your utility ones, and we can see, all right, to do the heal, I'm gonna need to hit X. And then I do that, and it used up half my focus, which is up here. So I only have 100 right now. So using 50 uses up half of it. And then you can see if I hold down R1, there is like a special attack I can do, but that uses 100 focus. So if I recharge it enough, we'll do that. But right now we'll just heal again, and you do that. So that's something you can do as an alternative to like your food. If you run out, you always do have a way to heal a little bit there as well. All right, so here I've progressed just around the corner. I got to a fight, but I've recharged my focus. I'm going to hold down R1 and do X to try out this. Ooh, very nice. All right, that was pretty cool. So you could have a special attack like that. I'm not sure if that's tied to my weapon or if you start with that actually, but look for down there in the bottom left for those special attacks. And then also here in town, you'll find that there's a guy here, a smithy being held hostage, but to go rescue him, you need to find the mess hall key. So we'll look around and see if we can find that. Okay, yeah, so I did have to double check for myself, but yes, that special attack is tied to this weapon, which if I unequip it, when you just have your fist or your shield, you do still have like a special punch you can do. But with this one equipped, actually you can see it has this fire flurry, so it came with that already on it. So look for that. Depending on which weapon you have equipped, you can get those special attacks. Now, the mess hall key, if you want a spoiler alert, if you continue a little bit around the corner here, you'll find the mess hall key right here on this body. So let's go back and see if we can rescue the smithy, because there's a switch he has, which we need to open this gate, so you can't progress until you save him. So let's go in there and try to save him real quick. All right, so I won that fight. I wasn't going to let you watch the whole thing because what if I died? That'd be embarrassing. But I did manage to win it. Scooping up our loot and then go talk to Fillmore here.
But I got my damn fool. Suppose there's a reason I'm a blacksmith. If you ever need anything repaired, now here. This will. But keep a careful eye out. All
right, and then he'll act as kind of a starting vendor here that you can use. So you can buy and sell stuff from him. You can also repair, so your weapons will take, your gear will take damage. He'll repair for free here, but later in town, it'll cost you a little bit of money to repair things. And then you can also find consumable items that let you repair as well. We can go to sell here. We can sell some of the stuff that I'm not going to use. I found this shield, but it's like a big heavy shield, so I'm not going to use it. I'm going to sell off. Actually, those gloves are better, so I'm not going to sell those. You can come over here and even sell straight from there, your equipped gear. Okay, and then I want to equip. You want to equip those things. And let's see if he sells us anything useful. So he sells kind of a variety of stuff. But if you were needing some kind of weapon you hadn't found yet, you wanted to change, now is a good chance to see a whole bunch of options. There's also two-handed weapons, dual wielding. There's some staffs and things if you want to go that route. Or if there's some armor piece you just haven't got yet, or the tools. So he has the shovel, which I didn't get yet. You can buy that. The fishing pole, hadn't got that yet. Pick that up. So he has kind of a variety of stuff, which I think it's kind of random, but you can get some stuff there from him. Now our next test is to go open that gate and progress to the next area. I can't remember if the boss is right there, or I think you have to go a little further before we get to the boss. So I'm going to progress on up the road here. You'll go here to open that gate and then start progressing up here. That's where we're trying to get to, Sacrament, but there is a boss there, so we will hit up that boss next. All right, so if you find your way up the road, about here, you'll hear a big scary roar and you'll know you're almost to the boss around the corner of all these bodies and blood and everything. Lots of hints that you're nearing danger, plus what people will mention along the way. But before you do that, a couple tips if you're struggling with any of these enemies, because you will come across some tougher enemies through here and harder situations. So a couple things is, besides just finding better gear, searching, exploring like we talked about for loot, you can go back to the earlier areas to farm some XP. So whenever you look at the map, you'll see it lights up as you go, but then it darkens again, so the fog of war settles back in after a certain amount of time. And whenever that fog of war settled back in, you can go back to that area and enemies will be respawned, treasure chests will be respawned, all of that. So you can kind of backtrack. And you can know when that will happen because there's a little timer. You'll see up here, it says it's time to creep back. It counts down. It depends on when you were last there. So you see like where I'm at right now, it's at 41 minutes. So it takes like an hour for it to reset. And so as you go along, you'll see that one's, okay, this one's at like 3 seconds, 2, 1, and then, yeah, I don't know if it darkens automatically right there. You have to change the screen and then go back to it. But it will then darken and then you'll be able to go back there and enemies will be respawned after that happens. So that's useful if you feel like you're not strong enough yet to go ahead. But let's see, I've gotten up to here. I found a little bit more gear, a little bit better. I'm at level 3 now, so I'm gonna try to fight the boss up here at level 3. Now, from last playthrough for me, the boss, it looks really scary and big, but he's actually not that hard to beat. He's kind of an easy first boss. So don't be too worried about like not being ready for this. Because actually some of the enemies before this, like the big dude with like the flaming double axe, can be just as tough if you're not kind of ready to fight him. So be ready to go up there. Make sure you prepare, collect some more food. If you're running low on your mushroom soup, cook some more. You'll find whenever you get past this drawbridge, which I'll let you figure out how to do that, there's some people here with a campfire, so you can cook up some more recipes there. You can explore. There's quite a few different directions you can go. Before you fight the boss, I can come down here. There's a whole area. And I haven't hit everything here at all. There's quite a few more areas there. There's a couple little mini dungeons that you can find if you poke your nose around. But I don't want to show you where all those are because it is still kind of fun to find that stuff on your own. Another thing, when you're collecting resources, you can get XP from doing that too. So even if you're not too worried about like crafting and stuff just yet, make sure you do this anyway because you get some experience points for free, which is really useful here early on where every enemy you fight could kill you pretty easily. So another way to kind of level up faster. All right, so now I'm gonna go fight the boss. I have beat him once before and I didn't die on the first try, so I feel like I probably can beat him. But if I embarrass myself here, so be it. It's for the video. But we'll try to like kind of study his pattern a little bit so you can see that he's not that hard to beat as long as you keep moving and just be patient and deliberate. But he is scary. Great enemy design here, because this is a pretty terrifying looking monster. It looks like a soldier or something that's been like mutated into a big spider thing. Warrick the Torn. You can see he does get his own big health bar. But he has a pretty big wind up on his attacks, so they're not that hard to dodge as long as you just pay attention. And you can see like after he attacks, he's got a long recovery time where he's vulnerable right there. And like that, he has a big wind up. So this fight is more about just dodging those big attacks and not depleting your stamina. Because if you run out of stamina and you can't dodge, then that's when you're in trouble. But if you let him make that big attack there, and then catch him while he's tired, and then even there, broke his poise, I got in a bunch of damage. Took out almost half his health right there in one go. But be careful that you don't run out. So there I was like dodging a couple times. Just don't get greedy is the main rule for this fight. Oh, and then you might do that. Jumping around. And then don't forget you have your things you can throw at him like that. Do some easy damage. You got some scrap bombs or anything. And then if you need to heal, try to heal. And then like my focus is recharged, so let's see. Let him make a big attack, and then didn't get him quite as good there. So yeah, I should have waited for that lunging attack where he tired himself out completely. And then I don't know if you can parry his attacks. I didn't try to. It's easier just to dodge his attacks because they're so big. Alright, I'm gonna try to stop talking and just finish him off here before I get myself killed. You see, as it gets to the end of the fight, he gets a little faster. As long as you just stay out of his way, let yourself recharge before you go in. There we go, got him. Yeah, so his attacks got a little more frenetic there towards the end, a little faster and more aggressive, but as long as you just kind of stay out of his way, wait for him to make those big attacks where he's tired after he doesn't have that much health. So yeah, that was at level 3, with just some regular weapons, beat him without too much trouble. And he did drop some loot there, so we'll see. I got a sword there that's maybe just a little bit better. Then some other stuff that's about the same or not as good as what I have. So nothing amazing out of that fight. That has so this one has an enchantment, so it has attack damage increased by 6%. You can see the gem slot here is at 0 of 1. So if a weapon's enchanted, there's a couple, you'll see basic, the blue enchantments, they can have 3 enchantments and 1 gem, or if they're not enchanted, they can have 4 gems. Or you'll see purple, kind of like a dark purple color items that have 4 enchantments, but they all still have like some kind of negative, like they'll be strong enchantments, but they'll have like a negative one in there. So it'll depend on, can you live with that negative modifier mixed in with it. And then the very best weapons in the game are fully got lots of buffs and no negatives, but I have yet to get to one of those. All right, so that was beating the first boss, and then we can head into Sacrament, and you'll see a little cutscene here when you get in, and then we'll talk about all the things you can do once you're in town. All right, so after the cutscene, you can go into town. Now fast travel is unlocked. I mentioned that before, so you can't actually fast travel between the whispers till you get to town, and then that's unlocked. And then you'll see there's some people to talk to, but I'll explore the town a little bit, and then I'll show you all the vendors. All right, so the first place actually you should go whenever you get into Sacrament is to the Rookery. And you won't see all these things just yet, but pathed it. You gotta cross some bridges. It takes a little time to get there. You go through kind of the town square, keep going up, and then like there's guards and stuff that will kind of point the way, but work your way up to this bridge up here. And then this is the rookery, where you'll talk to this guy Rune, and then you'll wake up in the lodgings, which is a place where there's a chest where you can store your items there. And also if you're playing co-op, you can leave items there for other people to find, which is nice. And it's behind this door right here. And then also he'll tell you to talk to the Watcher, and you can use a very special item to do another upgrade. So Plague Ichor. So this you'll get from like certain bosses. So it's a very, very rare resource that you only gradually accumulate through the game by fighting like the boss type enemies, but it gives you these really big bonuses. So you can see you only get one every once in a while, but it'll help you either unlock more inventory space. So slots for your items, for your consumables, or for like your resources, consumables, and miscellaneous. So it's kind of hard to decide between all those different ones. One good one to do is resources, if you're going to pick one of those, just because eventually this will fill up, but you're going to want to keep collecting resources, so it's not a bad idea to get more resource spots. But also down here, you can unlock another main hand slot, another offhand slot, so that lets you equip multiple, basically multiple sets of weapons that you can then quickly switch between during combat, which is pretty handy, unless you only want to use one thing, but like you can use this to have like a bow or and close combat and ranged combat that you can switch between as you unlock those. That's pretty useful. There's 3 ring slots, so you have 1 slot at first. I haven't even found a ring yet, but eventually you can get 3 rings equipped, which gives you some more bonuses. You can have more tools, which right now we have enough for the basics with 4 spots, but you can unlock 2 more. The hunger limit, which basically lets you eat more during combat, so there is like a limit of how many things you can eat to heal. I don't think I've ever run into that happening to me, but I'm sure as the fights go on, you eat more, that can happen. So right now I'm at 5 of 10. And then the utility rune slots, so that's like the healing spell that you start with. You can have up to 4 total utility slots, but you start with 2. So it's up to you where you want to spend your points here. There's no like wrong choice, but I did see a lot of tips of people saying like resource slots is a good one to start with, unless you have some specific reason you want one of these other ones. So I think we'll do that just because. But eventually you can unlock a lot of those things because you'll keep getting more Plague Ichor. Alright, so that gives us a quest to go find some more. But before we do that, let's check out the town and all the vendors down there. You can come over here and get a nice view right there. But we'll head down and look at the vendors and what you can do with them real quick. Alright, so as you run around town, you'll see like people with the little quest marker that can give you more quests. So you want to pick those up so you can go out there and do them. But you'll want to come down here before you leave town and check out these vendors. So we'll kind of walk through what all of them can do. Right here is a very important thing. This guy by Danos, you can use his research table here to unlock new things to craft. And so as you were playing, you probably found some of these research papers, which are basically just this piece of paper. I only have 2 that I found so far, but as you play, you'll gradually accumulate those, and you can use them to research new things that you can craft. And I think before this update, the system was different. You found like blueprints as you ran around, but now you can do it this way. And so the way it works is you come here, and this is a novice scribe table. You can get better scribe tables later in your house, but this one will do for now. There's tier 2 items, which I'm sure there'll be more stuff as the game continues being updated, but you get the tier 2 stuff, you need the adept scribe table. But anyway, when you come here, you'll be able to research things that you've found. Once you kind of know about them, you'll see them here, but if you want to craft them, you have to spend some of your research papers to spend them. So we see here, like we could spend 1 to research this, so the vial of focus, so we can make those, but we can see I don't even have any of the resources that you need to make those. So you still need the resources to craft them as well. You can craft like the different tools because they can eventually run out, but you can also just buy those, so that's not too big of a thing. But say there's a weapon you haven't found yet, like you're really wanting to go with like a spear or sword or wand or something. You come here and you see, oh, well, there's not any for me to do because I haven't found any yet. You can just do the random. It costs 3 to do that, and you won't get to pick exactly what you want, but you'll get one of these 3 spears randomly. And also there's like all the offhand things, armor, and then structures. So you can buy a house, which we'll kind of look at that a little bit. And then this lets you there's a bunch of things you can put in your house, like all kinds of stuff. So you can gradually make your base where you can like craft better and better things and refine resources and whatnot. But let's look at food, because one of the things, if you don't know what to pick at first, pick food. And actually I haven't found it yet. There's a bunch of recipes. So we have like the mushroom soup, which is fine, but there are much better ones you can find. And ones that give you like bonuses besides just more health. And I haven't found it yet, but you want to try to research ones that use ingredients that you have a lot of. You'll be able to see here like how much you have currently. So like I can make plenty of mushroom soup, but the little meat chunks you pick up from like rats and things, you can use those. There's one called chewy steak that's really good, and you have the items for it pretty commonly. But we'll just pick one. Oh, I don't have enough to do random. That stinks. All right, so just to demonstrate, we'll just do, let's say, scrap bomb. Even though I don't have the stuff for it, being able to craft those would be pretty nice. But just as an example, we'll research scrap bomb. And now it has like a little check mark on it, letting us know that we've researched that, and we could make those if we had the resources for it. But we need copper ingots and chipped coal, which I don't have very much of right at the moment. But do check this out. Highly recommend researching some food first if you can, just to have more recipes you can cook for more healing items. Now, if you look on the map, you can see, and you don't see them unless you zoom in, but you zoom in, you can see there's several other vendors we can visit down here. So let's go check those out. So one of this guy that we rescued earlier, the blacksmith, we can kind of talk to him now. And we can buy, of course, weapons and things from him. We can sell all of our stuff to him that we don't want. We can upgrade weapons. So basically you can spend some resources just to make them a little bit better. Basically increases their attack, their base attack power, which is pretty straightforward and useful. And you'll probably have some of the resources you need to do that. You can repair your stuff. But now he charges money, even though he saved his life, now he charges you money to do it. And then we can also come over, we can refine materials. So the vendors will have ways you can refine stuff, and then also at your house, once you have that, you can refine things there.
Man's best friend is a blade.
Okay, so actually I forgot, before you can do all the crafting and refining stuff, you have to come talk to Danos here. So you can use this table to upgrade, to open those like blueprints to craft things, but you need to talk to him about upgrading the vendors. So these building projects, these are really important, and there's a bunch of them, and you can see that you need a lot of resources to do it, but you can upgrade basically all the different shops in town, and this will unlock like perks and things that you can use. So like, for example, Fillmore's smithy, we come down here and see, all right, if we want to upgrade it to level 2, it unlocks the anvil, so then that's how we can craft our own weapons and armors. And then the furnace, which is where you can refine ore into ingots, so you can use those for crafting. So I forgot, yeah, whenever you start at the game, at the beginning, you do have to use a lot of these building projects first to unlock all these different things. So you can look through here and see these, but like this one lets you get around town a little bit easier, and then a bunch of them will increase the various vendors to give them not just those things like being able to craft things, but also they can sell you better stuff, wider array of things. And there's like an elevator for the rookery so you can get up there faster. So there's a whole bunch of stuff here. So another reason to like chop down trees when you see them, mine those ores when you see them everywhere. And then like, let's say we want to contribute towards it. So I can see, all right, I need 20 pine wood and 10 copper ore. We have 2 of each of those. So I can hit like Y here to contribute that towards it. And now it's part of the way there. But if you're playing in co-op, this is another thing. If you're in co-op, then you can, as a group, gather those resources and contribute them towards these projects to unlock those things a little faster. So I don't have those just yet, but we will, I'll show you that in the future. Yeah, actually, I'll switch to a different realm so that we already have some of that stuff unlocked so you can see it. But the last thing on here before we leave is the question of, all right, what do I do now? So you get here, you're in town, but as you run around town, you'll find the quest markers, you'll find lots of people, they'll give you all kinds of quests. You'll want to do those just to get more things, to unlock more options, and progress the story. But as you can see, now there's multiple places to head out to. You can also come down here and talk to Randolph, so we'll talk to him real quick. So if you've done the quest you want to do, or you're just want a little farming, he gives out bounties. So these are kind of like dailies.
If you want to serve my guard, I need to know that you can.
Oh, we have to give him a salute first. Forgot that. So let's see. We need to give him a salute.
Very good. Well then, sir, if you help me.
All right, so yes, after you give him a salute, so it shows you how to use emotes, then you can do bounties. So there's like daily and weekly bounties you can do. So these will give you rewards and money for going out and doing those. So it gives you kind of an activity. And again, if you're playing co-op, you can share those. And then there's challenges you can do, which are things like mining copper ore, looting chests, different things. So kind of a variety of stuff to go out and do and find things to get rewards from him. And then entitlement, so if you have like early access, that's how you unlock those things.
Why kill men for free when you can be paid?
And then make sure you do this whisper right here. So now we can fast travel. And you want to unlock this one so you can come to town. And then you'll see up here at the top of the screen, these are the different areas and then how many of the fast travel points you've found within each area. So here in Sacrament, we found one in the marketplace. There's another one somewhere in the shallows. That was the starting area. We could teleport. That was like the very first one we found. And then Orban Glades was like the forest. We kind of poked our head in there. There's 3 down there to find. So then with this, you can now fast travel around. Like say we want to go back to the beach, we can get there much quicker. And now we're back over here. All right, so I think that is about all of it as far as that. So yeah, you've got plenty to do now. And now I'm gonna switch realms real quick just so I can show you a little bit of the crafting and enchantments and how that stuff works. All right, so I'm jumping with my other character on the other, my co-op realm I was on, where we have some stuff unlocked already, so I can show it off. And you can actually move characters between realms, so a character isn't stuck in one realm. You can't actually jump around, but I just jumped to him because he has a bunch of resources. So once you've done those building projects and upgraded, for example, Fillmore's forge here, you can now use this furnace. Besides it being all put together and not broken down, you can use this furnace, which you can throw in those ores you find, and as well as fuel, so like the coal you find. And then over here, it'll refine it over time, which doesn't take too long, like 30 seconds per thing. It'll turn it into those ingots. So then you can collect those. You can also leave them here for like your co-op buddies. So they can pick them up as well. So you can share those resources that way. And then once you have some of those things, you can come over here to this anvil to craft. And I don't have very much stuff unlocked, but it's pretty straightforward. Just the blueprints you've unlocked at the scribe, you can come over here, you can see it there. And then if you have what you need to craft it, you can craft them. And then you can create new items that way. And then, of course, as you go up, you'll unlock higher tier stuff, but you can unlock basic things at the beginning. Over here, Eleanor can do enchanting. So once you upgrade her shop as well, she can do a bunch of things, but you can enchant. So you can select an item, enchant, and like we talked about, that will give it a bunch of buffs here, but it'll take up 3 of your 4 rune slot, or your gem slots, sorry. 3 of your 4 gem slots will be taken up by enchanting the item, and it's basically random what you get. You can infuse the item, which is where you'll put things into those rune slots. So as you go, you'll pick up various like gems and things that you can slot in, just like in Diablo or another game. And then you can pick those. They all have different uses. Like this item, I've already put things in 3 of the spots, or this is an enchanted item, so there's only 1 spot left for gems. So you could pick one of these to put in. And then depending on the item, not every gem can be put into every item. And so you can just look at what your options are and go from there. And it's just going to depend on like what you find, what your build is, your strategy, But that's how you can customize items there. You can also come here for runes. So you can buy runes from her and then you can slot them in here. So I don't have any that I can use in a weapon just yet, but a weapon can have up to 4 in it. So that's how you unlock like those special abilities, which I think most of them will start with 1, like 1 special attack, like the flaming sword thing I had before. This pick has a fire throw, so you can throw it, set it on fire and throw it, which is pretty cool. And then there's 3 more slots that you could put things into if you get them. You can also extract the rune. So you spend a little money, you can pull that out of it to put into another weapon, but it'll destroy the item when you do that. And then you can also talk to her, and she sells utility runes. I don't know if whenever you upgrade her further, maybe she sells weapon ones too, but you can buy, so like the healing thing, that's already there, we started with that. One I bought from her, like a heal aura, so that lets you heal around, surrounding yourself over time versus just a single heal. And then I bought from her one that lets me illuminate, so you can basically cast like a light spell around you. So that way you can go down into dungeons and stuff that are dark without having to equip a torch. So like I have this torch equipped, but obviously that takes up your spot for like a 2-handed weapon or a shield, and it also burns out over time. So torch is okay, but not the best, versus like you can equip that and then you can just cast a spell, and then that way you don't have to worry about not being able to use your offhand spot. All right, so just final review here, those merchants, which I don't know, I've bugged it somehow where their portraits are like humongous, but if you zoom in, you'll see them here. But basically you have right here, Caroline has like an inn where you go to sleep to rest. And then I want to say if you upgrade it, resting there gives you like some bonuses for a little while. This guy, Gordon, sells you food items. Valaria sells you the weapon runes, so that's where you get the weapon runes. Whitaker sells you like furniture and stuff you can throw in your house. Eleanor is where we do our enchanting, upgrading our weapons there. Fillmore, or upgrading your weapons with like enchantments. Fillmore is obviously the blacksmith where we can do all that stuff, crafting, and then upgrade our weapons. Greenwich, he sells just like random grab bag of stuff, so you can find like gems and resources and just random stuff from him. Marcos does all the consumables, so like the stuff you can throw, the little potions you can drink. And then the sisters here sell like clothes and light armor and can also upgrade your armor. So be sure you visit all of those to see what all they have to offer. And then there's where Danos is, where we can research new things. Where Randolph is, where we get the bounties. And then these markers, these homes, are where you can, it'll say house for sale. You can buy these. There's different ones. They have different prices. And then obviously the nicer ones are bigger and stuff. Like I bought this one, which is kind of hidden away over here. But there are several different ones for sale. And then once you buy those, you can put stuff in it. I'm not gonna do that in this video since that's maybe you get to that a little bit later. But basically you can create crafting stations, refining stations, and also decorate your house. And then if you're playing co-op, you can visit each other's houses. And like there's even one over there. So there's several options for that. But I think that's hit on everything I wanted to cover for this video. Hopefully it was helpful. And as you play the game, you'll learn a lot of this stuff, but some of it's kind of not necessarily obvious right at first. So I thought it would be useful to make a little guide just to get you through the early part of the game, through the first area, into town, and then figuring out like what all these vendors do. And then from there, you pick up quests. You'll see people all over town giving you quests. You can go talk to Randolph to get bounties, and then you just head out into the world to do them. It is, again, a little like Dark Souls where you'll find places that are really dangerous, and it'll pop up on your screen. At the top, it'll say kind of the danger level. If it's red, obviously it's bad. If the enemies have little skulls above their heads, it means they are probably too tough for you. You might be able to be right on the edge of fighting some of them, and then others are going to be way too tough. But yeah, you go out there in the world, there's story quests, there's side quests. Some of them will unlock some additional features here in town, like the respec. I believe you have to do the quest of one of these. There's one of these quests you do that unlocks the respec thing, but you'll get to it as you go. And then you'll see on the map marked like all these different locations. But yeah, after this point, just go out there, have fun, do quests and stuff, and keep exploring the game, leveling up. Hopefully you found this useful, and if you did, make sure you hit like, hit subscribe if you want to see the channel. I cover all kinds of different games, but I mostly try to make little guides like this to help out with fun games I come across. So thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.